Well, hello friends. In this video, it's going to be a sit-down video and we're going to have a little bit of a chat. When I had asked you guys if you wanted me to do Vlogtober, I always say Vlogtober, it's Vlogmas. October's done. October's over. Vlogmas. I guess Vlogtober rolls off the tongue easier than Vlogmas. But anyway, Vlogmas. When I asked you guys if you wanted me to do Vlogmas, you overwhelmingly said yes. And then I asked you for some ideas for videos. And one of you, I can't remember who, I think it might have been Rosanna, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I think that's who it was that suggested that I talk about Christmas traditions. And I love talking about my Christmas traditions. And so as I'm talking, I'm going to be inserting pictures of past Christmases, mainly from probably when my kids were really little, but whatever Christmas pictures I can find that are appropriate for what I'm talking about, I will try to insert those periodically throughout this video. So if I'm going to talk about Christmas traditions, I really need to talk about what happens from the day after Thanksgiving forward, because our Christmas traditions really start then. We have plenty of Thanksgiving traditions, but that's not what this video is about. So let's talk about our Christmas traditions. And these things have changed and morphed over time as the children grew. And this particular tradition has not changed. It's been the same since the first Christmas that Scott and I were married. And that is where we do not decorate for Christmas until after Thanksgiving. Now, since I started YouTube, since we had our finished basement, I definitely start decorating before Thanksgiving, but I do that downstairs. I've always told my family that I will reserve decorating upstairs until after Thanksgiving. So when we were first married and we didn't have a lot of decorations, I've kind of really gotten a lot of decorations over the years. I would be able to, we would go out and cut down a real tree. We'd go to a Christmas farm and get a tree. We'd put it up, we'd decorate it, and we'd decorate the entire house, and I would get it done in one day. That is definitely not the way things are now. It takes me a long time to get everything decorated, and it takes me a long time to get everything decorated upstairs. But that was our first tradition, is we decorate for Christmas the day after Thanksgiving. Oh, but there is one other tradition that we started that actually happens before that, and that happens on Thanksgiving night. Almost forgot about this tradition. We watch our very, very first Christmas movie of the season on Thanksgiving night, and that movie is The Polar Express. We have done that ever since the kids were young. I can't remember what year that movie came out, but we went and saw it in the theaters and we loved it. When it came out on DVD, we bought it, and then ever since then, on Thanksgiving night, we watched The Polar Express. Now we have kind of like a movie theater area down here in the basement. It's in our family room. We have a big pull down projector screen, and then we have a video projector that's up on the wall, and we can run our DVD player through the projector, so we watch it on the big screen. We turn off all the lights and we eat pie, because usually we're too full after we eat our supper to have pie, so we save our pie for while we're watching The Polar Express, and we eat pie and we watch The Polar Express, and that's on Thanksgiving night. Then Thanksgiving Day is when we decorate, or the day after Thanksgiving is when we decorate upstairs. We put up our big tree. When Travis was a baby, we got our artificial tree. That's a whole nother story. I told it before about why we stopped getting real trees. And basically it was because he was a baby crawling around on the floor. He got a hold of a pine needle and swallowed it, or tried to swallow it, and it stuck in his throat, and he choked and he was gagging, and scared me to death. And I told my husband, no more, we are getting a artificial tree. And we went out that day or the next day and we got an artificial tree. They were on clearance because it was right after Christmas. It was right after Christmas, like a couple of days after Christmas, and so we went and got the tree that we have now. We've had it for 25 years now. So anyway, that's what we do. And then on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, ever since Olivia has been old enough to enjoy shopping, we go and participate in Small Business Saturday, and we go around and we go thrifting and we go to small businesses and we shop. And so that's another tradition that Olivia and I do, and it's always so much fun, and we really, really look forward to Small Business Saturday. So then, what other traditions do we have during the Christmas season? I try in more recent years, well, when the kids were really little, I would buy them those advent calendars that with the little windows, and they get a little piece of chocolate, like the really cheap ones. We'd always do some sort of an advent with the kids. Now that they're older, I mean, they're adults, we don't do that anymore, but I try to do an advent for my own personal devotional readings. I enjoy doing different advent books and readings and things like that for the advent season. So up until after we get everything decorated in the house and up until Christmas Eve, we don't have a whole lot of traditions. We just are doing the busy things that everybody does at the Christmas season. And then Christmas Eve is, when the kids were little, was such a busy time. Between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, it was such a busy time. Scott has two daughters from a previous marriage. They're much older because Scott is 12 years older than me. So his oldest daughter is only, I'm only 10 years older than her. So, and then he's got another daughter who's younger. She was 7 when Scott and I got married. But anyway, back when we were first married and before we had our own kids, his girls would come over on Christmas Eve, and a lot of times they would come over on Christmas Eve and be there to wake up on Christmas Eve, because we would do our Christmas with them on Christmas Eve. And so we would have breakfast. Usually I'd make like homemade waffles and bacon, and we'd have a nice breakfast. If they didn't spend the night, they would come over. Like when his oldest daughter was able to drive, she'd drive them over and get there early Christmas Eve morning. We'd do breakfast, we'd do stockings and presents with them, and they'd hang out with us all that day. We'd usually watch a Christmas movie of some sort, and then in the evening, towards, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock, we'd go over to Scott's parents' house, and we'd have Christmas with them. And then on the drive home, it would be dark, and we'd drive around and look at all the Christmas lights, and then we'd drop the girls off at their mom's, because Scott, we only had the girls on weekends and on the weekends. So they lived most of the time with their mom. So we dropped them off with their mom or at their house, and then we'd come home, and Christmas Day was always over at my parents' house. A big celebration over there, and that went that way for a long time. Now when Travis and Olivia came along, Scott's older daughters were older. They were like teenagers and young adults, and so we didn't do the Christmas Eve tradition with them after that. Things happen, life moves on, kids grow up, things change. And Scott's parents, unfortunately, had passed away. So our Christmas Eves looked totally different at that point. With our children, our Christmas Eve was not a whole lot went on until the evening. I would spend a lot of time on Christmas Eve preparing for Christmas Day, making food, you know, all the things that moms do. We do everything for the holidays, don't we? Do you not agree? Mothers do everything pretty much to prepare for the holidays. And so I would spend Christmas Eve preparing food for Christmas Day as much as I could ahead. And then our church at that point was having Christmas Eve service. So we would go to the Christmas Eve service. And when that was done, of course it was dark because it gets dark really early in the wintertime anyway, we would stop by a convenience store if we could find one that was open and buy a little bit of snacks and a drink, and then we'd go around and look at Christmas lights. We'd drive all around, probably for an hour, looking at Christmas lights. Then we would come home and we would watch It's a Wonderful Life. That is our traditional Christmas movie that we watch on Christmas Eve, and I have a couple of favorite Christmas movies. White Christmas is probably my number one favorite, and then my number two favorite is It's a Wonderful Life. And Travis told me that It's a Wonderful Life is his favorite Christmas movie. So anyway, we watch It's a Wonderful Life. Now this is when the kids were young, like elementary age up through high school age. This is our tradition. So then as soon as the movie was over, they would have to go to bed. And by this time it's like 10 o'clock, so it's not early. It's time for them to go to bed. And then Scott and I would stuff their stockings. I would set the table, the Christmas table, make it all pretty, put candies out on the table that the kids hadn't seen. All of the breakfast food is ready because I would make homemade cinnamon rolls and homemade pineapple braid. It's a yeast dough, a sweet yeast dough, and I make those on Christmas Eve, and they're all ready to go. And then on Christmas morning, we just warm them up in the microwave. It takes so much of the stress off on Christmas mornings. My mom always used to do those, make everything on Christmas morning. She'd have to get up at like 4 in the morning and make sausage gravy over biscuits and have the cinnamon rolls and well, she didn't do cinnamon rolls. She did the pineapple braid. She'd have and yeast dough takes a while. I don't know how my mom did it, but she would get up super early and do that. I'm like, I am not about that. I love Christmas, but I still want to sleep in as much as I can. So I do that all ahead of time, and then we just warm them up. It's just as good. But anyway, Christmas Eve night, we stuffed the stockings. I would set the table, get it all pretty and magical, and we'd put all the presents under the tree because at this point the kids have not seen any presents. We don't put presents under the tree early. We don't open presents on Christmas Eve. We wait till Christmas morning. So then after all that's done, we go to bed and we try to get some sleep. And we always had a rule or tradition that they could not come out of their bedrooms until they heard me turn on Christmas music. And then they could come out. And that stemmed from the tradition when I was a little girl that we'd wake up real early and we'd meet in my brother's room because his room was right next to the dining room, and so we'd all meet in his room and we'd sit there and wait and wait and wait, and we could hear them. We could hear my parents out in the kitchen rustling around and clanking dishes and things like that, and then we weren't allowed to come out or peek or look or do anything until my dad said, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas." And then we could come out and we could get to the table, and Mom had all the food on the table and it was piping hot and our stockings were filled. And so that tradition, we changed it a little bit, but they had to stay in their rooms till they heard the Christmas music playing. And usually they would stumble out half asleep and they would kind of sit on the couch and kind of shiver, you know, because it's a cross between being cold because you come out of your warm bed into a cool house, and the excitement, you know, they would get shivers and their teeth would chatter and they'd be so excited, and they'd kind of try to peek at the table to see what was in their stockings, and then finally we'd say, okay, you can come to get your stockings. And we don't do a big breakfast, we just do cinnamon rolls and the pineapple braid. My kids are not huge breakfast eaters, at least Olivia's not. Travis will, but I've tried doing like the big breakfasts in the past, and they were just too excited to eat anyway. So we just do the cinnamon rolls and the pineapple braid, and then we'd have a drink of, it's like a virgin mimosa, I think it's called. I don't even know the real name of it, but it's sparkling grape juice, which I think if you drank alcohol, it would be champagne. But we just use white sparkling grape juice and orange juice mixed together, and just in a juice glass. We're not trying to like mimic an alcoholic beverage. We just wanted something special for Christmas morning, and the whole family really likes that combination. So that's what we would do. And now that we've gotten older, we more drink coffee and don't go for the orange juice as much. At least I don't. And the guys, they love coffee. Olivia doesn't drink coffee, but anyway, that is our early Christmas morning tradition. And then, of course, we'd open up presents. And back when the kids were little, we would, and my mother was still living, even when they were, up until my mother passed away, so they were like older. Olivia was 16 when my mom passed away, so up until they were 15, Olivia was 15, Travis was 17. After we'd have our morning opening Christmas presents, then we'd eat a little snack. I'd usually have crackers and cheese and like a sausage, and I'd make a sausage tray. Now they call it grazing boards. And I do grazing boards now. They're a bit more fancy, but back then it was just like the basics, cheese and crackers and meat. And we'd have a little snack. We'd eat more cinnamon rolls. And then around 2 o'clock, we'd walk over to my mom's house and we'd have a big carry-in dinner there. We'd exchange gifts with my parents, and my mom, when she was able, would usually make something for us. She made Scott and I matching robes one year. She made us like quilts. The year I was expecting Travis, she made his baby blanket. We would have the big dinner, ham and dinner rolls and macaroni and cheese and salads and jello salads and dessert, and it was just so much fun. And all of my siblings that lived in the area, which would be everyone except for my one brother who lives in Wisconsin, we would all come to my mom's house, and all of their children, and there would be, let me count it up, and let me count it up, how many people we would have at my mom and dad's house for Christmas. We would have a minimum of 19 people, sometimes more. When my older nieces and nephews were getting married and having children, sometimes they wouldn't always be able to come because, you know, they'd have traditions with their spouses' families, but sometimes they would come too, and then it would be up in 20 plus people at my mom and dad's house, and it was crowded and it would get hot, and it was just blissful discomfort. I don't know how to describe it. It was just really fantastic to get together with all of my siblings, except, like I said, for my one brother. And sometimes they would make the trip, especially once their kids got older. They would come down, and sometimes their kids would come. And so if all of my brothers and sisters were there with all of their kids, then it would be 26 people. And it was just a really, really great time. After my mom passed away, things changed. Again, life changes, and we don't get together as a big family anymore. Life moves on. There's been marriages, there's been divorces, there's been babies born, there's been babies that have grown up, and as these things happen, as each family member leaves and becomes a family of their own, then they start having their own family traditions. And my mom was basically like the anchor of our family, and when she passed away, we kind of all went our separate ways. I think that's pretty normal. I mean, I think that happens a lot in families, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just different, and there are times when I really wish things were the way they were 10 years ago. I do wish for that sometimes. Although I do enjoy not having to go anywhere on Christmas Day, because now that's the way it is. We open up our presents, we stay in our pajamas all day long, and we just chill out. Now, the traditions now are, I make a big grazing board, and that's what we snack on all day for lunch. And then for supper, we have the traditional ham and whatnot. I make a big batch of Chex Party mix, and we eat that throughout the holiday. And usually there's a little bit left by Christmas, but a lot of times it's gone by Christmas. Olivia and I used to do a big cookie baking day. That's probably not going to happen this year. She's incredibly busy with school, and she has, I said, she has this digestive problem. So a lot of the cookies she can't eat. So that's probably not going to happen this year, which is sad. She was very depressed about it, and she's almost like, oh, let's just skip the holidays this year. I said, no, we're not going to skip the holidays. It'll just be a little bit different this year, and I'm going to try my hardest to find foods that she can eat that she will like and enjoy. And that's why I've been kind of looking through different cookbooks and trying to find new dishes that I can make that she will enjoy. So really quickly, I'm going to share with you our traditions for New Year's. I'm going to make it quick because I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk, but Christmas and New Year's are kind of like the same holiday because they're just exactly a week apart. And so on New Year's Eve, we have this tradition, and it's almost become one of my favorite things. And I almost like it more than Christmas, which is really weird. But it's such a fun tradition. And we just started this a few years ago, maybe four years ago, maybe 5 years ago. We started this tradition, and we absolutely love it. We have so much fun. On New Year's Eve, for supper, we have appetizers. I make, typically it's almost like kind of a Chinese theme, like egg rolls and wontons and mandarin orange chicken and different things like that. Just like different, it changes. It's a little different each year. But we do appetizers, and we start watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended version. I don't really know how many hours. It's like, I don't know, 14 hours worth of video, because we love Lord of the Rings. We are geeks. We are Lord of the Rings sci-fi fantasy geeks in this household. We absolutely love the Lord of the Rings, and we don't watch it any other time of the year. Sometimes we get in the mood to watch it and we're like, nope, we got to save it for New Year's. So we'll start it on New Year's Eve, and of course we cannot watch all 3 movies in one night. So, but we start them, and we usually watch 1 to 2 of the 3 movies on New Year's Eve, eating the appetizers and just sitting around. We don't sit at the table. We get our plate, we sit in front of the TV, and we watch Lord of the Rings. And then on New Year's Day, we continue watching Lord of the Rings. We usually eat whatever leftovers of the appetizers. We have those for lunch. And then for supper on New Year's Eve, I do, it changes. It varies from day to year, but I'll make something. I don't know what I'm going to make this year, honestly. Olivia has a book. She got it last year for Christmas, and it's Lord of the Rings recipe book. And it's got all kinds of fun recipes in there based off of the movie. And she's going to make a few of those recipes for New Year's Eve as our appetizer meal. But there's one recipe in there that I'm thinking about doing for New Year's Day, and it's Sam's coney stew. Now, if you don't know what a coney is, that is what, at least in the Lord of the Rings, they refer to as rabbit. Rabbits are called conies. Well, I don't have rabbit. I'm not going to try to find rabbit, but the recipe said you can use chicken thighs. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think I'm going to make Sam's coney / chicken stew for New Year's Day supper. And I always do black-eyed peas because it's kind of I don't believe in luck, and I don't believe in, that kind of superstition or that kind of thing. But they say if you eat black-eyed peas on New Year's, you'll have good luck throughout the year. I think it's a southern thing. So we'll have black-eyed peas, we'll have coney stew, and I might make some lemnis. I can't remember if that's how you say it. Lamnis bread. If you know Lord of the Rings, you know what I'm talking about, because this recipe book has that recipe in it too. So we do a big giant Lord of the Rings party just for the 4 of us. And this year we're considering purchasing, it's very expensive. I don't know if we're going to do it or not. Travis really wants to, but it's so expensive. There's a Lego set, and it's Rivendell, and it's huge. It's a huge Lego set. It's several $100s for this Lego set, but it comes with like the little minifigs of Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn and the Hobbits and all of them. Everybody that was at Rivendell for the council is in this set, and you build it. And we're really thinking about purchasing that set, kind of going together, everybody pitching in some money, buying that Lego set and putting that Lego set together on probably New Year's Day, throughout the day. But yeah, so we have a big Lord of the Rings geek out family party, and we love it. We have so much fun, and we look forward to it every single year. All right, friends, I have chattered on for a half hour, and this video will be long after I include all the pictures that I can find. And so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed hearing our traditions. I am very big on traditions. I love family traditions. I think they're important, and I just love family traditions. I love trying to incorporate traditions from when I was a child, from Scott and I kind of came together and took traditions from both of our families and made our own traditions. And I know that if Travis and Olivia ever get married and move out of our home, they will develop their own family traditions as well. And life will keep evolving, and traditions will keep evolving and changing. And you just kind of have to go with the flow. And even though sometimes it's difficult to think about the past and kind of wish and long for the way things used to be, you have to live in the present. You can't live in the past. And you have to find things to be happy about and create new traditions and be flexible and enjoy your family. Whatever your family looks like, in this season of your life, enjoy them as much as you possibly can, because when it's all said and done, God and family are the only things that really matter. Alright friends, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section below and tell me what is your, and it might be hard for you to choose, but what is your favorite family tradition, either that you from the past or that you currently do with your family. I would love to hear it. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.